You can say the same thing about the Big Ten. I mean, the longest time, Minnesota and Indiana and Northwestern were sort of doormats, but every so often they seem to have really good seasons now. So you can't really say, well, we expect Purdue or Indiana or Illinois or Northwestern, Minnesota to go, 11-1, 10-2, 2-10, or you know what I mean, 1 win, 2 wins in a season. I just think in terms of for college football, I think it would be a better setup because at that point, yeah, you wouldn't have as many undefeateds at the end of the season because you're playing instead of Michigan and Ohio State being undefeated at the end of the season, well, maybe they lost to an LSU or a Texas or an Oklahoma, in week 1. Yeah, they have that loss, but is that a bad loss if Oklahoma or whoever's undefeated, or they played Alabama really close and they lost, by a field goal in the final seconds of the fourth quarter? Is that a bad loss? Versus, well, you lost to Ohio State at the very end of the season, you're disqualified from the playoffs, I don't know. And I know the SEC has sort of proven that, time and again, if you put 2 SEC teams in the playoffs, they're going to meet each other in the finals to determine who's the national title, which brings its own level of stupidity to this conversation because how do you win the SEC and not win the national title? How do you win the national title if you didn't win your conference? Or how do you? It's just like that boggles my mind when I think about it. You're not the best team in your conference, but you're considered the best team in the country. Well, because you happen to be really good for 2 games. You happen to knock off, Ohio State and, the SEC champion who you lost to earlier in the season. You just happen not to be good enough at that point in the season to beat Alabama, but you're good enough now in the national title game, however many weeks later, to win it all. I don't know. Just for me, I understand the concept of a wild card bid. That just because I don't know, the Houston Astros. I think the Houston Astros won their division, but just because you didn't win your division, but you had a really good record, doesn't mean that you should be excluded from the playoffs. I get that. I completely understand that, but I don't. There's a difference between, well, you also played another game to win your conference. You played a conference championship game, which is a one and done. It's not a best of 3 shit like it is in all the professional leagues except for football. It's a one and done. So you either are or you are not better, you know what I mean, than everybody else. So you play your 12 games, you play your conference championship game. Now you've got 13 games under your belt. You go to the playoffs, you gotta win 2 more to win a national title right now. There's gonna be more here soon, but right now you just have to win 2 more. So you have to win a total of 15 games to win a national title if you go undefeated then. Or conversely, you can lose like a really tight middle of the season game, not have to play in the championship game, backdoor your way into the national title race, and then end of the season, you finish 14-1 or 14-1, you win a national title, whereas they play, like I said, 15 games, so they go, what did I say? So they go 15-1, and they don't get it. I mean, they played an extra game, but that doesn't matter, because like I said, it's not a best of 3. So it's not like, the Tampa Bay Rays, they swept the Yankees in the first round, so they only played 3 games, whereas the Indians, they went best of 5, so they played 5 games. That's unfair. No, You have to win 3 games in that. So if it takes you 3 games to win it, guess what? You've won it. If it takes you 5 games to win it, that's on you. But when you have a one and done situation, it's so fucking horseshit when you can make the you can make the conference, you can make the thing having not won your not even played in your conference championship game, you know? I don't know, I find it complete hogwash. Alabama and Georgia are, say, the 2 best teams in the SEC, and they meet each other at the beginning of the season. They're on the same side of the conference. And there's not another team that really sort of stands out. It's better than the loser of the Georgia-Alabama game. Should they not play each other in the SEC championship game to determine who goes to playoffs? Sure, you beat them in week 7 of the conference or the season, but you couldn't beat them in the SEC title game. Well, you don't get in. You don't get in. You didn't win your conference. You don't get in. Particularly when there's so many damn teams. When a division matters less, you know, then yeah, okay, we could talk about it. But we've got 120 teams. Right now, you're only letting in, you know, 4 of them to play for a national title. You know, you need to find a way to eliminate teams that play each other in a conference and let the ones that don't play each other duke it out, or do a situation where the ACC, SEC are playing each other this year and next year, and then next year the ACC plays the Big Ten, or they play the Big 12 or something. They get a better idea of where these fucking conferences stand, and not just these fucking bunny rabbit games where they get Central Michigan to get over here. No. Alright, let's take this guy on. Second chance. Don't let complacency weaken you or whatever. Yeah, so this is Jonah. He's a pain in my butt, but he seems very doable, particularly as he seems to do that attack twice. I don't know. He just seems very doable, and I think I'm a bit overpowered where I'm at right now. I can get some hits in here. It doesn't look like he does any crash damage, which is great. Oh yeah, this is going to be very doable. Particularly if he keeps doing this very telegraphed attack. Sub 50%, but that's okay. He's sub 90% right now. Dead. I was right about you, Travel. You're not like the king. Thanks for sparring with me. I've seen your thoughts. I know your attention. Fruit is yours to do as you will. Speak with Charon to the west. Your journey home has been paid for. So we got the Fruit of Life, which I will mention. Jonas is tainted, poisoned it so that when we feed it to the king, if we feed it to the king, he'll be poisoned. May choice salon go. My time is something here. Take it, return home, the king awaits you. So we're just gonna take a quick peek here. A little slice of purgatory. The only one who read memories of is Estelic Reliquy. Yeah, that basically allows me, it's the, whatever you want to call it, it's the reasoning why all of my stats carry over from game to game. You can also see the bell in the background, which I'm guessing Jonah rang in order to start this whole, you know, situation. He rang this bell that caused all of this shit to happen. So now the area is all closed up. Everything's boarded off, and looks like we're headed back to our castle. Which I did not realize the king is in our castle. That's interesting. I don't know if that ever came up. And then these are just some of my ancestors. It looks like they get replaced at a certain point in this hallway because they don't go all the way back to, you know, Sir Teddy the First. He's just hiding behind this door here. Oh, this is some horse shit. Alright, and here's the little casket or whatever. Oh good. You look just like Jonas did in the first game. Brother, you returned gifts. Done what my children could not, and brought me the fruit of life. Too far I have divided myself, but I shall become whole once more. My children failed to tend the garden, and in turn failed me. You have brought an end to this dissonance. In honor of your duties, brother, you shall rule the kingdom of Genesis in their stead. Continue to tend the garden, brother. Yeah, but we betrayed you. Brother. Betrayer. Yeah, you're a monster. So fuck off. So we're going to try to defeat Cain here on our first try. We're doing some pretty decent damage here to him. A lot of that critical damage. Yep. I'll know that for next time. Yeah, he does, looks like he's doing a number of different attacks that are related to the other estuaries. So I'm guessing he's some combination of all the estuaries. Yep. That is from one of the void beasts that I fought. The staff was from the first one. This is from Lemage. I'm doing pretty good right now. We're about even on with his life. Yeah, we're about even. Oh, that's from the... what's it called? Nope, that's from... what's his face? The bull in the basement. I'm not sure I'm gonna do this. This is sort of coming down the wire, though. If I make mistakes like that, it's gonna be the end of me, though. Oh, there's what's-her-face's attack. A little twist. Gotta figure that out. Well, that was a pretty good first attempt. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that again. I am adorably small. Or I could play as a giant. Or I could re-roll my heirs because these all suck. I don't care about that. IBS. Whatever. Alrighty, let's give that another try maybe. I'm gonna level up my strength, I think. And then we'll give maybe the boss another try. We may think about maybe doing a run, make some money here. And once we make some money, we should be able to level ourselves up again. Then we can make maybe an attempt at the boss at that point. So I've got 40 powers. Oh, I've got 40 powers. Powers. I'm sort of curious as to see what if the 40 powers do anything more than just sort of the basics. I was looking at some designs of these two characters, the blacksmith and the whatever you call it, enchantress. Their character design was basically done at some point, and they were just trying to figure out what hairstyle and, you know, just small tweaks to their character were going to happen out before they actually went live. Mainly hairstyles, clothing styles, that sort of stuff seems to be the only major things that changed. Or at least I consider them sort of minor change. It wasn't like, you know, the Enchantress was going to look all that more different than the way she looks now. Other than, like I said, hair and maybe facial type. But she wasn't going to be, you know, some buff dude, you know, wearing, I don't know, a turban. Maybe that's a little too far, I guess. But she wasn't going to be like lifting weights and, you know, bra. Don't you lift bra? Yep, that's a good one. Particularly if I can get some food, it'd be very good. I've talked too much about that particular relic in the past, so basically we're just looking for some food. We need to be at full health when we do that. Goes up, our HP goes up 10%. That's all we're going to talk about. If I get a second one of those, I can go up to 6 times. My health can increase up 10%, 6 times. But that will be highly dependent upon if I can keep my health at full. Now we're doing my least favorite thing of the year, which is called inventory. Inventory is a pain in the butt because it is a necessary pain in the butt, I should say. But it is a pain in the butt nonetheless because you have to count parts. So if you've got 1,000 of a part, I count them. And every year I get put in hardware. Hardware is screws and cable ties and stupid little bitch-ass parts that we end up weighing for the most part to determine how many we have. You know, because if I have 500 screws, or if I have 503 screws, it's not really going to matter all that much, because once we get below, say, 20 screws, I'm going to buy 500 more. But if we can get a rough estimate of how many screws we have within, let's say, a ballpark of less than 3 pieces, that's pretty good, considering each screw is like somewhere in the ballpark of 1.5 to, you know, maybe 5 cents per. 5 cents would be a very expensive part, I guess. But I hate those because you'll have boxes of them, you'll have bags of them, and then you'll have the individual one. So you'll get a box will be 500 in them. You gotta make sure the box isn't open. If the box is open, then you gotta count the individual pieces that are in the box, because you can't guarantee that what's written on the box is still correct. Fun shit. Why is this shit important? Because at the end of the year, we have what we call a financial audit. The audit takes a look at how many pieces we had before, how many pieces we had after inventory. Then it takes into account other fun stuff like, hey, you bought 15 pieces of this. Your inventory says you received 16. You paid for 17. Why is that? Those are called discrepancies. We don't like discrepancies. We like numbers to be 100% on. Now, obviously, there's going to be an amount of human error. So, if particularly the more, I want to say the more the human gets involved, but it's also the equal level of problems is when you get everything starts getting too automated. and you expect the computer system to take out, you know, the one component part for every time it makes the one final part. Well, if it's not programmed 100% right, it may not take it out for a particular part. But that component part may work for multiple different items. So, like, let's say, getting back to sort of the very basics, if I have a nut and a bolt that go together to make one completed part, and the same nut is used in a different component part, and at the end of the year I'm missing, say, 500 of a particular nut, but I have more than enough bolts, there's a combination of things that could have gone wrong. Either A, the system didn't take it out, or B, we reordered them, so that's why we have more of one and not enough of another, because we were properly being told how many we needed of one item, but the other half of the component, let's say the nut, we thought we had 500 of, but we only have 100 of, because they weren't properly taken out of inventory on a component build. So, fun shit. Then after all that's done and counted, everything's verified, finalized, inventory's unfrozen, then the auditor gets to come in and go, why'd you do that? Why you have 500 less? And depending on how big or small that part is and how much money that is, could be a big deal or a medium-sized deal. And basically, you have to tell them what sort of procedures and policies you have in place to try to prevent that shit from happening in the future. Again, it's easy to say in theory, but it's very difficult when you've got thousands of parts that you buy and sell every day and put together into other assemblies, and then at the end of this year you're 20 pieces short. Why are you 20 pieces short? Well, I don't know, because we ordered too many, we didn't receive them incorrectly, the component parts weren't taken out as they should have been, you know, some of the parts weren't correctly made. We sent them back, but we weren't taken from our inventory. Too many were added back into inventory because of a mistake. I like that one, but I hate that one. This is the flip side of that. Every six enemies, you get a free no damage.
Their empathies.
So because inventory sucks so hard, there's a combination of things that always happen whether you exist in retail or manufacturing or anything else that does an actual inventory of product, okay? And that is, how do you get people who don't want to be there to come? Well, you say, in the retail world, you basically say everyone's got to count. Everybody's got to come in and you got to count, and you sort of do this collectivism stuff, which is nobody leaves until we're done, 100% done counting. Well, that's great and all, but if I've worked an 8-hour shift and I gotta be here for another 6 hours to count, I want counting to go as smoothly as possible, otherwise my brain gets fried and I want to go home. Whereas the people who weren't here all day, you know, they don't gotta worry about that. That shit's for the birds, though. On the other side, when you're in a manufacturing world, then you're going to use a piece of PTO to make sure I don't have to count, or you pull that I'm an engineer bullshit. You say, I'm an engineer, I don't have to count. I got to do important stuff. It's like, yeah, you got to do important stuff, but if you're not out there counting, that means I got to be out there just a little bit longer counting. We all start at the same time. We all count the same number of shit, or we all spend the same amount of time counting. It goes a little bit quicker the more people you have. one person's got to count 10,000 pieces of shit. It's going to take a lot longer than if, say, 100 people are counting 10,000 pieces of shit. But, you know, nobody wants to count. Too good for counting. I get it, you know, you're going to pay an engineer X amount of dollars per hour. You know, you don't want them spending accounting. Same time, you want that count to get done as quickly as possible so you can get back to business. The longer your, you know, your assemblers are not, you know, putting shit together, the longer it takes before you get back on track. Start producing again. Jeez, die already. Nobody likes you. Honest. Like how these little fucking shadow guys follow me to the end of the earth. Even if you defeat their whatever they call those, the person who spawns them, they just keep existing until you get rid of them. Alright, we found the boss again. Great for us. Don't care about that though. Once the boss has been defeated, we do not care where he is. Where his lair is. Almost did it. Poison money, always great. Comes in right with the regular money. That uppercutter is a game changer for the boxer. Your bread and butter is very much in the straightforward attack combo, whatever. But that uppercut is like yummy yummy. That is like an alternate. It's like a great like B, you know, quote unquote B button. Your main button, you know, is supposed to be your, you know, your straightforward punches. That uppercut's like, give me an alternate. You know, something to really add to the the enemy slightly above you. Do you not want to jump at them? Yeah, just do an uppercut. Plus a good uppercut's always good. Try to. Everyone does New Year's resolutions. My New Year's resolution is to read more. I don't feel uneducated per se, but I do feel like I could be better informed if I read more. The beauty of reading is you sit down, you read a book, okay? And then the book tells you shit, you know, it tells you a story or it tries to depart information. And you're not going to remember, most likely, you're not going to remember every word that comes out of the book. You know, you're going to remember some things more than others, you know, because they either affect you more personally or, you know, they're more memorable. Yeah, that'd be great if I could find a piece of food. That'd be great. Let's see if we can do that or if we're going to die immediately. We're going to try to be as careful as possible.